Hey YouTube, it's ICU, and welcome to the 136th episode of Best Tech Info and Rumors. Alright, to start off today's episode, I wanted to talk about jailbreaking. And no, unfortunately, there haven't been any new developments in the world of jailbreaking. I've just been receiving a ton of questions related to iOS 6.1.3 and related to the evasion jailbreak for iOS 6.0 through 6.1.2. So I wanted to clarify a few things in this video, and if I don't answer all of your questions, just be sure to check down below in the more info. I'll have a few links to some very valuable resources, including my past two episodes of this series. I go into depth and I explain exactly what the situation is, which jailbreak tutorial to use for certain devices and certain firmwares, and I also highlight the differences between a tethered and an untethered jailbreak, as well as a semi-tethered or a semi-untethered jailbreak. So, like I said, if I don't answer all of your questions in today's episode, just be sure to check down below. So to start off, as most of my frequent viewers and readers are already aware, iOS 6.1.3 was issued by Apple, and that effectively patched the evasion untethered jailbreak for iOS 6, which still does function on 6.0, 6.0.1, 6.0.2, 6.1, 6.1.1, and 6.1.2. So if you have any iOS device on any of those firmwares, then you will be able to jailbreak using evasion. And I'll also have a link to my evasion jailbreak tutorial down below. Now, iOS 6.1.3 is where things start to get a little bit tricky. So if you own a newer iDevice, which does include the iPhone 5, the iPhone 4S, the 4th generation iPad, the 3rd generation iPad, the iPad 2, the iPad mini, or the 5th generation iPod Touch, unfortunately you will not be able to jailbreak on iOS 6.1.3. And the reason for that, again, is because Apple patched a number of vulnerabilities that evasion exploited to achieve the untethered jailbreak. Now, if you own an iPhone 4, iPhone 3GS, or a 4th generation iPod Touch, you can jailbreak on 6.1.3. Just be aware that it will be a tethered jailbreak, but you can convert that tethered jailbreak into a semi-tethered or semi-untethered jailbreak. And I'm not going to highlight the difference in today's episode. I'm just letting you guys know that it is possible to jailbreak those devices on Apple's latest firmware. Now, you can't jailbreak the newer devices because, unfortunately, the iOS 6.1.3 jailbreak relies on a Redsn workaround. And Redsn, as some of you are already aware, utilizes GeoHot's old LimeRain exploit, which was discovered in 2010. And it's a hardware-based vulnerability, so the only way for Apple to patch it is to release newer devices, which obviously they have done, and that's why the current devices aren't supported in the 6.1.3 jailbreak. Now, we do know that both the Evaders and POSIX Ninja, the former leader of the Chronic dev team, are working on untethered jailbreak solutions for future versions of iOS 7. Now, the reason why I say iOS 7 and not 6.1.3 is because they will not develop a 6.1.3 jailbreak. Apple's latest minor iOS update simply isn't substantial enough for them to use the exploits that they've either spent weeks or months discovering, and then only to have Apple patch those exploits with the release of a new firmware. They'd be better off to wait for iOS 7 and to wait for Apple to release new devices, and that way it ensures maximum hardware and software compatibility. And someone actually asked me, well, how do they know that exploits that they've discovered now won't be patched once Apple releases iOS 7? And yes, that's a good question. If you're not familiar with the jailbreak community and how things work, essentially Apple cannot patch an exploit or vulnerability that they aren't aware of. And that's often what happens. The exploits aren't even brought to Apple's attention until the developers on the jailbreak scene release a new jailbreak utility. So I tried to compile everything, go over a lot of the basics, and give you guys as much information as possible in a short period of time. Again, if you want more details on evasion, iOS 6.1.3, and jailbreaking in general, just be sure to check below. Alright, moving on to the news. According to new reports from both the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg, Foxconn, one of Apple's primary manufacturing partners, has apparently begun hiring additional workers to aid in iPhone 5S production. And this news, unsurprisingly, follows a separate report from March suggesting that Foxconn was preparing to enter mass production for the iPhone 5S. Now, both reports confirm that Foxconn is simply expanding its already large number of laborers to accommodate, quote, the seasonal demand from clients, namely Apple. As for a solid release date, unfortunately there isn't one. The majority of rumors surrounding Apple's next generation iPhone suggest that the device will either be released this summer, presumably following an announcement at this year's Worldwide Developers Conference, or later during fall of this year. Recent rumors also suggest that the iPhone 5S may be equipped with NFC or near-field communication, a biometric fingerprint scanner, and even wireless charging technology. Of course, just be sure to stay tuned to this series, my YouTube channel in general, and Best Tech Info. I'll keep you guys completely covered on everything related to the iPhone 5S, including the rumors and leaks that will inevitably precede the device's official announcement. Now, along the same lines, earlier this week, Tactus, a case manufacturer, publicized new images of what's said to be the rear casing of Apple's rumored low-cost iPhone model that may launch later this year alongside the iPhone 5S. Now, in line with past rumors, and as you can see on the screen now, the rear shell is made out of some sort of plastic. And furthermore, the report goes on to share a number of supposed details pertaining to the unannounced device, including that it could be powered by Apple's A5 processor, feature a 5-megapixel rear-facing camera, and come in 5 different color options, including black, white, red, blue, and yellow. Tactus also claims that the device will sport a 3.5-inch Retina display, similar to Apple's iPhone 4 and 4S, as opposed to the 4-inch Retina display found on the iPhone 5, like previous reports have suggested. Also, in an attempt to measure the rear shell, Tactus claims that the cheaper iPhone will measure at between 0.4 and 0.6 millimeters thick, which obviously isn't possible. The company likely misreported previous rumors that suggest the device will be approximately 0.4 millimeters to 0.6 millimeters thicker than the iPhone 5. And in a rather odd claim, Tactus states that the low-cost iPhone is scheduled to be released on October 15th with a price of $300. However, it's best to put little stock in such details, as most sources for part leaks from Apple's supply chain simply wouldn't have access to Apple's specific launch details. And unfortunately, it's nearly impossible to gauge the validity of the newly leaked alleged rear casing for Apple's rumored cheaper iPhone. It's possible that such a part could be created based entirely upon rumors that have been circulated through various news outlets in recent months. And next, the other day I put a new list together of 5 top Cydia tweaks that are available for users with devices jailbroken on iOS 6, which does include 6.1.2 and 6.1.3 for the older devices that can jailbreak on the latest firmware. And among the tweaks is one of my favorites that allows you to set and customize live wallpapers on iOS devices. So if you're looking for some great tweaks, maybe you've recently jailbroken and you don't quite know what to do yet, just be sure to check down below. I'll have a link to the video there. Alright, and finally, as some of you may already know, yesterday the HTC One officially launched here in the United States. I picked one up and I did an unboxing video of the device, and I've actually had some time since the unboxing video to test it, to play around with it, and to see how I liked it. And let me just say, it's definitely my favorite Android device so far, and it's one of the fastest. It even performs better than the Nexus 10, which is Google's own branded quad-core tablet. So it's certainly one of the best smartphones out right now, and if you guys want to see the unboxing, just be sure to check below. I also plan on doing another video with the HTC One where I compare it against Apple's iPhone 5, so just be sure to look for that soon. Alright, and that's it for today's episode. Don't forget, you can still enter to win my $100 Amazon gift card giveaway. Simply rate this video up and hit that subscribe button to be notified every time I release new videos, and just be sure to leave a relevant comment down below in the comment section. Once your comment's posted, you'll be automatically entered to win. And that leads me to my next point for the question of the day. Be sure to let me know in the comments or on Best Tech Info, which mobile operating system do you prefer and why, iOS or Android? And finally, to be updated more often, just be sure to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and add me in one of your circles inside of Google+. And until next time, this is ICU, signing out.